The millionaire returned to demolish his home. But a heartwarming discovery changed everything. Lucas stood at the edge of the lot where his childhood home once thrived with laughter and love. Today, it was a shadow of what it used to be, its dilapidated frame sagging under the weight of memories. He'd come back to demolish it, a triumph of his self-made wealth stark against the backdrop of his humble beginnings. But as the sun dipped low, casting a golden glow, his heart twisted with conflicting emotions. Pride bubbled within him. He was a millionaire, a leader in tech. Yet, sadness hovered. He was also a son who lost so much along the way. The picturesque Midwestern town was sprinkled with familiar faces, but they now eyed him with skepticism. Wealth had left marks on his family and friends. Some looked at him as if he were a stranger, an outsider who had abandoned the roots that once nourished him. He dug deep into his pocket and pulled out a small worn key, the only reminder of the woman who fought so hard for him, his mother. He stepped onto the property, looking up at the sky as if searching for answers. It wasn't just a house. It was a vessel of dreams layered in sacrifice. A few locals gathered around, their whispers blending with the rustle of leaves. As the machinery rolled onto the property, they held their breath. His hands trembled as he unlocked the door and stepped inside. The attic beckoned him like a siren's call, dark and dusty. He climbed, heart pounding in anticipation. What would he find? The old wooden beams creaked beneath his weight, echoing stories of long-gone family dinners and laughter that reverberated through time. And then he uncovered it. A tattered box, hidden amongst cobwebs. Inside were letters, 12 to be exact, written in his mother's delicate script. Tears prickled at the corners of his eyes as he unfolded the first letter. Lucas, my son, you are destined for greatness. Each letter unraveled a tapestry of hope, determination, and sacrifice. We may not have much, but we have love. That's our true wealth. With each word, the past surged back, enveloping him in warmth. Memories flooded his mind. Neighbors bringing over meals when times were tough. The community rallying around his mother during hard days. It was here that he learned resilience, where every setback was met with a united front. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. His heart raced as the emotional weight of his decision settled in. Should he proceed with the demolition, or honor the legacy woven in those letters? The solution surfaced into his consciousness like a light-breaking dawn. Lucas inhaled deeply and stepped outside, the crowd watching intently. I've decided, he announced, voice tremulous yet strong. Instead of tearing down this house, I want to transform it into a community center. Silence fell, hanging thick with disbelief. Could he truly redeem himself in their eyes? As uncertainty churned in the crowd, it was clear. Lucas's journey toward redemption had just begun. How to mend broken bridges and lift those around him was now the question burning inside. With the weight of his past on his shoulders, he was ready to forge a new beginning, both for himself and his beloved hometown. The words hung in the air, stunning the crowd into stillness. Lucas felt the heat of their gazes, a mixture of surprise, hope, and skepticism. Had he broken through the wall they'd built around their hearts? He glanced at the faces, searching for a glimmer of understanding. A few familiar ones smiled softly, while others exchanged wary looks. I know it might sound strange, he continued, pushing through the tension. But this place means more than bricks and wood to me. It's about connection, community, family. The emotion in his voice was palpable. He could feel the energy shift slightly. Curiosity danced in the air. Then a voice from the crowd broke the silence. It was Mrs. Thompson, a neighbor from his childhood. Her face glistened with age, yet her spirit still sparkled. "Lucas," she began quietly but firmly, "we could use a place to come together. But why should we believe you'll stick around this time?" Her question struck deep. Lucas swallowed hard. She deserved honesty. "Because I don't want to run away anymore. I've learned what matters, and it's not just success or money. It's about giving back. And I want to use my resources to help the community that raised me." An unease settled in, but he continued, eyes sincere. "If you'll let me, I want to rebuild our connections." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. A few nodded in cautious agreement, and others remained unconvinced. The weight of his past hung tightly around him, but Lucas didn't let fear win this time. He could feel his mother's spirit nudging him forward, urging him to take the leap. Then something unexpected happened. A young girl stepped out from the gathering. Her blonde hair was wild in curls, and her eyes sparkled with a mix of mischief and hope. "I think it's a cool idea. We could have art classes, and maybe even a place for kids to play." Lucas's heart swelled. The innocence of her suggestion ignited a flicker of enthusiasm among the townspeople. Conversations sparked. People shared ideas, discussed needs, and even laughed. In that moment, the community began to murmur affirmations, slowly paving the way toward acceptance. Lucas felt like he was walking on air. The town was waking up. Every tentative smile felt like a shift in the past's heavy shadow. He could see it. The community center could be more than a building. It could be a home for togetherness. "I'll even help out. I used to bake with my grandma," said another voice from the back, a young man Lucas recognized from high school. "We could host cooking nights." Laughter burst through the air, and soon ideas flowed faster than water from a new faucet. Lucas beamed, the warmth of the moment brushing away his doubts. But just as things seemed to flow seamlessly, a chilling thought creaked into the corners of his mind. How would he manage the logistics? He'd avoided emotional connections. This was a commitment on a different level. Amidst the chatter, Lucas took a deep breath. He had an idea. The very foundation for this community center could start with the letters. What if the letters were shared? What if they could inspire others? "Let's make this a place not just for activities, but for sharing our stories," Lucas proposed, a newfound confidence in his voice. "Each of us has been through something, and I want this center to reflect all our experiences." As he spoke, the crowd quieted once more, the weight of his words sinking in. Could they truly come together to forge something new from their shared pasts? He could feel the tension linger, but hope glimmered bright. "Let's meet next week to discuss how we can bring this center to life." Lucas smiled, recognizing the spark that had ignited in their eyes. As he turned to leave the property, a wave of gratitude washed over him. His heart felt lighter, yet another question bubbled to the surface. Was this journey to rebuilding trust going to be the true challenge? What if it meant facing not just the community's fear, but his own? The following week loomed closer, the weight of anticipation sitting heavy on Lucas's shoulders. Despite the warmth of the community's initial response, doubt wormed its way into his thoughts. Would they really trust him? Could he meet their expectations? He spent sleepless nights scouring ideas, laying out plans, and dreaming of possibilities. On the morning of the meeting, he arrived at the property early. The old house stood quiet, waiting. Sunlight filtered through the trees, casting patterns on the ground that reminded him of childhood mornings spent playing in the yard. Memories tugged at his heart, moments of laughter, warmth, and love. He took a deep breath, letting nostalgia wash over him, reassuring and daunting at once. As the hour approached, people began to arrive. Mrs. Thompson was the first, carrying a stack of papers and a bright smile. I brought some community feedback about your ideas, she said, her enthusiasm infectious. Lucas felt the corners of his mouth lift. Maybe this was a sign. Soon, the group swelled. Neighbors he hadn't seen in years poured in, clutching chairs and homemade snacks. They were vibrant, diverse, each person holding a piece of the town's fabric. Lucas felt his heart strengthen in their presence. Maybe their belief in him would be enough. Caleb, the young baker from high school, spread out a tablecloth adorned with cheerful patterns. Here we go. This is where the magic happens, he declared playfully, already setting up for cooking nights, filled with laughter and friendship. Lucas stood to address the gathering, his nervousness palpable. Thank you all for coming. I want this space to be a reflection of us, a safe haven for dreams, stories, and growth. He paused, gauging their reactions. Hope flickered in their eyes. I want it to be a real community center. Mrs. Thompson raised her hand. Let's start by brainstorming what we'd like to see here. Activities, classes, whatever it is we need. Her voice beckoned agreement. A chorus of ideas swirled, filling the room with energy. Suddenly, a voice chimed in from the back. It was Anna, the girl with the wild curls. What if we have a story wall? She suggested, her face lighting up. Like a place for everyone to hang their stories. Lucas felt a rush of warmth. It was the perfect idea. A tactile representation of their shared experiences and histories. He smiled brightly. That's brilliant, Anna. We can dedicate a whole section just for that. The energy in the room ignited. Ideas expanded like fireworks in the night sky. They envisioned art classes, rhythm nights, and even gardening workshops, moments that celebrated their unique lives together. But then, amid the excitement, a question emerged. How would they fund this? Lucas's heart raced. The thought of bringing in resources felt overwhelming. Just as he opened his mouth to address this, Aunt Mary, known for her keen wit, spoke up. What about a community fundraiser? A festival? We could charge a small entry fee and sell food. Laughter erupted, and heads nodded enthusiastically. As they brainstormed further, Lucas's anxiety of how to manage began to ease. Their eagerness transformed into a bubbling pot of creativity, ideas mixing and swirling together like paint on a canvas. Suddenly, 2 hours vanished. The crowd dispersed reluctantly, carrying with them vibrant promises of what was to come. Lucas watched as they left, their laughter echoing in his ears. He felt a surge of joy, but beyond that, he could sense a shift within him. A transformation was quietly taking place. As he locked up the old house, he hesitated. There was something unshakable about the sense of community blossoming around him, a challenge he welcomed wholeheartedly. But another question lingered. Was he ready to face his past fears of abandonment and failure to truly build something lasting? Lucas took a deep breath, ready to confront whatever came next. What if, despite everything, he found not only a cause, but himself? The next morning, Lucas woke to the sound of birds chirping outside. Sunlight streamed through the window, casting a warm glow on his bedroom. He pulled himself out of bed, still buzzing from the energy of the meeting. Turning his phone on, he opened his messages to find a flurry of responses from the attendees. Excitement swelled within him as he read words of encouragement and new ideas. "Let's meet again soon," one message read. "We need to keep this momentum going." As he sipped his coffee, Lucas sat pensively at his kitchen table. Today was about making those ideas tangible. He started jotting down everything he thought might help the community fundraiser. With every line he wrote, anxiety began to slip away, replaced by a tangible sense of purpose. He decided to visit the local market, a bustling hub where laughter mixed with the sizzle of fresh food. This was where he would find small businesses eager to support their community. The idea of partnering with local vendors felt right, like they were all weaving a safety net for something bigger than their individual dreams. The market was alive with chatter. Lucas moved between the stalls, greeting vendors he recognized. He approached Mrs. Beasley, an elderly woman who made homemade jams. "Hey, Mrs. Beasley," he called. "Would you be interested in donating some jam for our community fundraiser?" The woman's eyes lit up. "For a cause like this? Of course, dear. I'll throw in a few extra jars for the festival." He felt a spring in his step as he made his rounds, each positive interaction fueling his excitement. He reached Rick, the owner of a local bakery. "What about some of your famous pastries for the festival?" Rick grinned, leaning against his stall. "Only if you help me set up my booth. I'm in." With every agreement, Lucas felt like a puzzle piece was snapping into place. Was this what it felt like to kindle hope? As he finished up at the market, Lucas bumped into old friends, many of whom had once been distant figures in his life. They shared stories, laughing and reminiscing like no time had passed. His heart swelled. This was the community he had longed for, the one where he could be vulnerable and accepted. Returning home, the sunlight was fading, casting long shadows across the property. He paused in front of the old house, reflecting on how different today had been. In moments of connection, he could finally feel the weight of his past lifting. Suddenly, movement caught his eye. A group of children was playing on the grass, their laughter ringing like music. It struck him how their joy mirrored his own, how the little things, like the promise of togetherness, could build something beautiful. But just then, a familiar face approached. It was Jack, a childhood friend who had moved away years ago. "Hey, Lucas, heard you're back in town to make waves." Surprised, Lucas managed to smile. "It's good to see you. I'm actually gearing up for a community festival." "Count me in. I may have some ideas you'd love," Jack said eagerly. As they caught up, Lucas's heart raced. In this small town, he was not just rebuilding a house, but also his world. Yet, another thought gnawed at him. Was he truly ready to embrace all this? What if old fears resurfaced? As he locked the door to the property that evening, doubts flickered in his mind. Maybe with new beginnings came the necessity of old closures. What would it take to find peace with his past, the one he thought he could escape? With determination set on his face, Lucas stepped inside, ready to face whatever came next. The journey was just beginning, and so were the memories he still had to confront. The next day, Lucas rose with a renewed sense of purpose. The weight of yesterday's interactions buzzed in his mind like an impending storm, filling him with restless energy. He grabbed his notebook, flipping through scribbled notes and ideas that blazed with possibility. Today, he was determined to gather input, not just from his friends, but from anyone in the community willing to lend a hand. As he set out walking through the heart of town, the streets were alive with familiar faces. He greeted everyone he passed, his smile infectious, igniting warmth in those he spoke with. By the time he reached the town square, the sun had climbed higher, casting joyful reflections off storefront windows. The festival was starting to feel more and more like a reality. Lucas stopped by the cafe, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee swirling around him like a comforting blanket. As he entered, he spotted Sarah, an energetic woman known for her knack for organizing events. "Sarah," he called, making his way to her table. "I'm planning the community festival, and I could really use your skills. Can you help?" Her eyes twinkled with excitement. "Absolutely. You know I love a good festival. What's the plan?" Lucas laid out his ideas, his voice quickening with each detail. They brainstormed together, laughing and debating as the shop filled with the buzz of conversations. In that moment, Lucas felt the spirit of collaboration sweep through the air, like a long-lost friend returning home. After their meeting, he stepped outside, his heart buoyant. He couldn't shake the feeling that this was more than just a fundraiser. It was a chance to rejuvenate the connections that had withered over time, to rekindle hope and spark unity. But lingering in the back of his mind, shadows from his past flickered like fleeting ghosts, whispering doubts. Later, with a list of potential volunteers in hand, Lucas decided to swing by the community center. It was an old building with peeling paint, hosting countless gatherings over the years. Inside, he spotted a notice board teeming with flyers. He felt an odd sense of belonging. This place held memories, laughter, as well as the cringe of adolescence. A familiar voice called out, snapping him back. "Lucas! You made it!" It was Jenna, a bold spirit with a heart as big as her smile. "I heard about your festival. I'd love to help." As they chatted, Lucas realized each familiar face he encountered brought stories that intertwined with his own. The past wasn't just something to escape. It was part of the fabric of this community, tugging him back with affection. But beneath the warmth of these interactions lay a deep-rooted fear. What if his attempts to belong were futile? What if old ghosts surfaced, haunting him when he least expected it? It was something he had been slowly reconciling in his mind, confronting feelings he had pushed away for years. By evening, the sky deepened to a dusky blue, and Lucas found himself sitting by the old oak tree in his backyard. The leaves whispered secrets above him, and for a moment, he closed his eyes, absorbing the silence. He longed to let go of the weight of his past completely, but could he really do so while still tethered to it? He opened his eyes, staring at the house that once felt like a burden. Now, with the energy of reunion shining through, it felt alive once more. Just then, a sharp knock on the door broke his thoughts. He hesitated, his heart racing as he stood up. What now? Could it be someone from the past coming to confront him? Or was it yet another chance to embrace a new future? With a deep breath, he approached the door, wondering what, or who, was waiting on the other side. Lucas pulled the door open, and for a moment, he stood frozen. There, in front of him, was a figure he hadn't expected. It was Tom, his childhood friend. Tom's brown hair was now tinged with gray, and the years etched lines around his eyes, but the glimmer of their shared memories sparkled in his gaze. "Lucas!" Tom exclaimed, breaking into a wide smile filled with nostalgia. "It's been too long." "Tom!" "Wow, it really has," Lucas replied, stepping aside to allow him in. The past surged back to life, recalling summers spent playing in the creek, afternoons of laughter and mischief. Yet, a shadow lingered. Tom had left for the city years ago, chasing dreams while Lucas stayed behind. "Wow, your place has changed." Tom surveyed the room, a hint of longing in his voice. "It still feels like home, though." Lucas gestured toward the kitchen. "Can I get you something to drink? Coffee? Water?" "Coffee sounds perfect," Tom said, easing himself into a chair, a gesture that still felt familiar from all those times sitting around the table. As Lucas poured the steaming brew into 2 mugs, a curious excitement built in him. "So, what brings you back?" "I thought you'd left this town behind for good." Tom hesitated, the smile fading for just a moment. "I was planning on selling my family's place. You know, the old Johnson house." Lucas blinked. "You're going to sell it? After all those years?" "I know," Tom replied, running a hand through his hair. "But I came back to visit before the sale, to look around one last time. Things change, you know. Life has a way of pulling you in a million directions." As they settled into conversation, Lucas shared his plans for the community festival. Tom listened intently, nodding along. Lucas could feel the spark of passion igniting between them. "We'd love to have you help out. It'll be a great way to reconnect with everyone." Tom's face brightened again. "Count me in." I'd forgotten how many people I missed. Who knows, maybe I'll even change my mind about the house. Lucas felt a rush of warmth at his friend's words. Maybe there was hope to rekindle not only friendships, but a deeper connection with their roots. Could the festival somehow tie them back together? Bring everyone close again? The conversation flowed effortlessly, each tale shared layered with laughter and reminders of who they were and who they hadn't fully become. They reminisced about the silly pranks they pulled in school, the magic of late-night adventures, and the dreams that felt so distant now. But amid the laughter, Lucas couldn't escape the nagging question buried deep in his heart. Would the past be capable of overshadowing the bright possibility of the future? And could Tom's presence truly heal what had once hurt? As the night wore on and the stars blinked awake, Tom suddenly grew serious. "You know, Lucas, I never meant to drift away, but I think it's okay to change plans, to change your mind." His eyes sparkled with untold understanding. What if there's more waiting for us in that old house than just memories? What if we find something that brings our stories together once more? Lucas's heart raced. Those words hung in the air between them, full of promise and uncertainty. Just then, a loud crash echoed from outside, startling them both. They jumped to the window, and Lucas's breath caught in his throat as he saw a group of people gathered near the edge of the old garden, their voices raised in excitement. What now? He wondered, feeling a pull toward the commotion outside. What were they on the verge of discovering, and how would it impact everything he was beginning to build? The night held secrets, waiting to be unearthed. Lucas looked at Tom, and they shared a determined glance. Together, they stepped toward the door, ready for whatever awaited them out there. As they stepped outside, the cool night air wrapped around them, tinged with the sweet scent of blooming honeysuckle from nearby bushes. The outdoor lights flickered, casting playful shadows as the commotion drew closer. A small crowd gathered under the old oak tree, voices buzzing with energy, and curiosity pulled Lucas and Tom toward them. "What happened?" Lucas asked one of their old neighbors, Mrs. Hargrove, who stood at the edge of the group, her cane trembling in her grip. "They found something in the garden!" she exclaimed, eyes shining with excitement. "Something extraordinary." Tom's expression shifted from cautious excitement to guarded intrigue, mirroring Lucas's own feelings. What could possibly be hiding in the overgrown grass of a garden that had seen so many seasons? The two of them pushed forward, weaving through familiar faces that still looked like snapshots from their childhood. As they reached the heart of the crowd, Lucas caught a glimpse of a small wooden box held high above the heads of the onlookers. "It's a time capsule!" someone shouted, their voice resonating with pride. Lucas felt his heart race. A time capsule? From when? Mrs. Hargrove leaned closer, her voice a hush. "From when the Johnson family first settled here, years before you and Tom were born." Hands trembling with anticipation, Tom reached out to take the box. Its edges were weathered, coated in a layer of dust and soil. "Let's see what this is all about," he said, a spark of childhood wonder igniting in his voice. With careful hands, Tom pried open the box. Inside was a handful of fragile letters, some photographs, and a familiar old trinket, a small painted wooden car, just like the one Tom had owned as a kid. He barely held back a laugh, the bubble of nostalgia bursting forth as he pulled it out. "Look at this," he said, glancing at Lucas, whose smile mirrored his own amusement. "It feels like a piece of my childhood." The crowd gathered around began whispering, pulling out their phones to take pictures. Lucas's eyes darted from Tom to the items in the box. He could feel the weight of those old memories bursting forth around them. Not just Tom's, but everyone's connected to that place. Tom began to read aloud a letter carefully penned in loopy handwriting. "To whoever discovers this message, know that this land is shared in love and memories." As Tom read, the crowd grew silent, each person transported back to a time when life was simpler, when friendships were unbreakable, and families thrived together. But then, a new thought gnawed at the back of Lucas's mind. What did this mean for Tom's plans to sell the house? This discovery could very well change everything for both of them. While the excitement swirled, Lucas turned to Tom. What if this time capsule is a sign for you? Maybe there's still life left in that old house. Tom looked at him, the toy car still in hand, a contemplative frown crossing his brow. But selling it? Is that really my only option? Just then, a loud cheer erupted from the crowd, followed by applause that echoed into the night. Tom held the letters high, revealing treasures from the past. It felt as if they were standing on the edge of something monumental. As the village grew loud with joy and laughter, Lucas realized this was more than just a time capsule. It was an invitation, a challenge to confront not only the past, but the future as well. Let's make this festival even bigger. Let's revive this community spirit, Mrs. Hargrove shouted, her enthusiasm spilling over. Lucas felt that same spark of hope ignite again within him. Could this be the moment they all needed to heal old wounds and reconnect? He glanced at Tom, who seemed lost in thought, the box now an emblem of opportunities unrealized. But as the night deepened, so did their unresolved questions. If the community held such deep-rooted connections to the past, would that sway Tom's heart? Would it be enough to keep the old Johnson house from being sold? Or would the past remain precisely that, just memories echoing through time? And as they stood captivated by their shared histories, another voice rose, shattering the fragile unity. What if that house has secrets we can't even imagine? Someone mused from the crowd, sparking a ripple of excitement. What could be lurking beneath the surface of their memories? As Lucas and Tom exchanged uncertain glances, they couldn't shake the feeling that their journey was only just beginning. The crowd's chatter resumed with a fresh sense of curiosity, but Lucas felt the air around him grow heavy with unspoken thoughts. He watched as Tom turned the wooden toy car in his hands, the painted surface glinting under the moonlight. That simple toy symbolized so much: innocence, nostalgia, and perhaps the weight of a decision still looming over them. Tom, what if the house does have secrets? Lucas asked, his voice barely rising above the hum of excitement nearby. Maybe it holds something important, something you never knew. Tom paused, his brow furrowing. A secret? Like, what? I barely set foot inside since my parents moved away. His voice trailed off, uncertainty creeping in. As they stood immersed in their own thoughts, Mrs. Hargrove approached them again. Boys, you both need to see what else is in there, she exclaimed, a twinkle in her eye. These letters, they might hold the keys to the past, and this very community. Tom nodded, seeming to gather strength in her presence. All right, let's read the other letters. Maybe they'll give us a clearer picture. With the crowd still buzzing, Tom gingerly dug into the box again, removing each fragile letter carefully, as if they were relics from another time. One by one, the letters revealed stories of dreams, struggles, and friendships forged through hardship. Listen to this one, Tom said, his voice steadier. He read aloud another passage. In our struggles, we found hope in one another. Our greatest treasure isn't land or money, but the bonds we create. Remember to cherish those. As he continued, Lucas felt the weight of the words, resonating deeply with the fabric of their lives now. The crowd, now fully engaged, leaned closer, captivated by the unfolding tales. Laughter and tears mingled, each person recalling their own memories of the neighborhood. Lucas found himself stirred with a sense of purpose, the power of shared history echoing in his heart. What if we hold a gathering? Mrs. Hargrove suggested, her eyes sparkling. A festival where everyone can come together. We can share stories, reconnect, celebrate our community. That's a great idea, Lucas said, throwing a glance at Tom, who was considering the implications. It could show you just how much this place means to everyone, especially you. Tom bit his lip, his gaze drifting back to the box. You think so? But what if I'm not ready? What if it means keeping the house when I've been trying to let it go? Sometimes the past is just what we need to embrace our future, Lucas encouraged, feeling the flame of determination light up in him. You might be surprised, Tom. This could be the thing that brings everything back together. As the excitement rippled through the crowd, Tom took a deep breath. "Okay, let's do it," he said, a sliver of resolve weaving into his voice. "Let's host that festival. Maybe this place does have some magic left in it." Applause erupted from those around them, the energy of possibility filling the air. Lucas felt a warmth spreading through him. It was about more than just a house now. It was about reconnection and healing. Yet, beneath Tom's newfound determination, a hesitation flickered. Would revisiting the past be as liberating as he hoped? As the festival planning began, Lucas couldn't shake the feeling that uncovering the secrets of the Johnson house was only the beginning. Suddenly, a flash of strength sliced through the crowd, a figure pushing forward, old and familiar. "Keep the house? What about the truth that lies within?" The voice shook with authority, capturing everyone's attention. Lucas turned, his stomach flipping. Who was this mysterious figure, and what truths might they unveil about the Johnson house? The weight of potential revelations hung in the air, mingling with the scent of honeysuckle, and with it, a promise of mystery waiting to be unraveled. The crowd parted like the Red Sea as the figure stepped forward, her face illuminated by the soft glow of the lanterns. It was Mrs. Carter, the neighborhood's former matriarch. Her presence felt like a storm brewing. Her silver hair sparkled, yet the age in her eyes told tales of years gone by. "Mrs. Carter," Tom exclaimed, shock mingled with anticipation. "What do you mean? You know something about the house?" "Of course I do," she said, her voice steady, almost sing-song. "That house has been in so many lives, more than you can imagine. Secrets? Oh, they rest in every corner, waiting to be unearthed." Tom swallowed hard. "What are you talking about? You can't just drop a bombshell like that and walk away." The crowd was hushed now, each person leaning in. Mrs. Carter looked at Tom, her gaze piercing. "The night your parents left, Tom, they took something with them. Something they believed would protect you. But truth? Truth is messy." "What do you mean?" Lucas felt a rush of adrenaline, his heart pounding in his chest. They thought they could create a new life by burying the past. She gestured to the house as if it were a living creature. "But the past doesn't disappear, dear. It only hides and waits." Tom's eyes darted like a frightened rabbit. "What did they take?" Mrs. Carter sighed heavily, as if the words sat like stones in her stomach. "Your family was part of this community's history, its heartbeat. They freed themselves from something they didn't want, but it was part of a bigger cycle. You need to know this. Your father left behind a journal hidden within those walls, documenting everything. The real reason they moved away." Gasps spread through the crowd, those nearby murmuring in disbelief. The weight of the truth hung thick in the air, and Tom's face turned ghostly white. Lucas felt a surge of sympathy for his friend. "Tom, this could explain everything. Maybe it'll help you see the house differently." Tom looked from Lucas to Mrs. Carter, uncertainty etched on his features. "But what if I discover things I wish I hadn't?" He hesitated, the conflict visible in his posture. "Knowledge can be a burden, but it's also a gift," Mrs. Carter replied softly, stepping closer. "You'll have to decide which weighs heavier for you, what you risk knowing, or what you lose by not seeking it. But remember, the community is here to help you carry that burden." A flicker of determination ignited in Tom's eyes. "Then let's find that journal. If it holds the truth, we owe it to ourselves to hear it. We owe it to the memories, the history." The crowd leaned in closer, excitement replacing the earlier anxiety. Mrs. Carter nodded, a small smile breaking through her stern demeanor. "Good. You'll find it behind the loose floorboard in the attic. But brace yourself, for the truth may lead to unexpected places." Lucas felt the collective breath of the crowd, holding on to the moment as if it were a cherished memory. They were united now, in purpose. The festival planning had turned into something deeper, a quest for discovery, for self-understanding. Tom took a deep breath, glancing down at the toy car in his hand. "It's time to open the door to the past," he whispered resolutely. "Tonight, we make plans," Mrs. Hargrove declared, clapping her hands together, dispelling the heaviness that had settled over the crowd. "And tomorrow, we dig for the truth." As the chatter erupted again with newfound excitement, Lucas felt a rush of hope. They were on the edge of an adventure that could reshape everything. What would they uncover in the attic of the Johnson house? Would the truth be a blessing or a curse? The promise of tomorrow held an unmistakable allure, but lurking just beneath it was a shadow of dread. Tomorrow, Lucas pondered, the truth might just change everything. The morning sun broke over the horizon like a warm embrace, shedding light on the community gathered outside the old Johnson house. Excitement buzzed in the air as Lucas joined Tom and Mrs. Carter at the front steps, their faces a mix of determination and trepidation. Today was the day they would unearth the past, a journey set not just to discover secrets, but to heal hearts. As they entered the house, the familiar creak of the floorboards stirred up not only dust, but memories long buried. Lucas felt a mix of nostalgia and fear. What awaited them in that attic? Hesitant yet resolute, Tom led the way, climbing the stairs with a palpable sense of purpose. Each step echoed their shared history, the laughter of children, the tears of loss, the dreams that flickered out silently. Once in the attic, sunlight streamed through a small window, illuminating the clutter of forgotten objects. Old bicycles, faded toys, and boxes lined the walls, creating a labyrinth of memories. Lucas's heart raced as he scanned the room, searching for the loose floorboard mentioned by Mrs. Carter. What lay hidden beneath could rewrite the narrative of their lives. "Over there!" Tom pointed to a section of the floor that seemed slightly uneven. The timbers creaked beneath them as they approached, Lucas kneeling to get a better look. He ran his fingers along the cracks, the anticipation electric. With a burst of energy, Tom pushed down on the board, and it lifted easily, revealing a small, dusty journal nestled inside. Lucas's breath caught in his throat. The moment had come. Whatever awaited them within those pages could be monumental. "Are you ready?" Lucas asked, glancing up at Tom, who stood frozen. Tom took a deep breath, eyes glistening with emotions that swirled within him like the clouds above. "Let's do this." As they settled into a cozy corner of the attic, Mrs. Carter took the journal and carefully opened it, the pages brittle and worn. The smell of aged paper filled the air, evoking a sense of reverence. Each word held the weight of history, woven together with heartache and hope. Tom leaned in, hanging on every note of his father's hand, instantly captivated. Mrs. Carter began to read, revealing secrets about family struggles, dreams laid to rest, the fear of leaving a community that felt like home. Together, they learned about the sacrifices made in the name of survival. As the story unfolded, Tom's expression shifted from uncertainty to understanding. They were just trying to protect us. I had no idea they went through so much. "I think they were trying to shield you from the cycle of disappointment," Mrs. Carter said softly, her eyes reflecting the bittersweet glow of shared memories. "But running away doesn't take away our roots. It only complicates them." Lucas felt a tug of compassion in his heart. Tom's journey mirrored his own, a struggle to embrace the past and learn to live fully in the present. "Tom, you don't have to follow your parents' path. You can choose to stay, to embrace this community just as they once did." Tom nodded slowly, looking around the attic as if seeing it for the first time. "I see that now. This place. It has its flaws, but it's home, isn't it? There's so much love here." With each page turned, a sense of warmth enveloped them. The journal revealed intentions not of abandonment, but of longing, illustrating that sometimes, even in the shadows of the past, there's beauty waiting to flourish. As the last words faded, silence settled over the attic, wrapping around them like a warm blanket. Tom's eyes brimmed with understanding. He finally grasped his parents' truth, and with it, his own identity. "I need to honor what they wanted," Tom whispered, resolution hardening in his voice. "This house should stay in the family. This community deserves their story, and mine too." Lucas smiled, a radiant feeling soaring within him. "That's the spirit, Tom. Together we can honor them and build something beautiful." They made their way back downstairs, a renewed sense of purpose pulsing in the air. When they stepped into the sunshine, the crowd awaited them, eyes wide and expectant. Tom cleared his throat, gathering everyone's attention. "I have news. The house isn't going anywhere. Instead, let's celebrate it with a festival that honors our past while building toward a brighter future." A roar of applause erupted from the crowd, their spirits lifting like kites in the breeze. Laughter and cheers filled the air, intermingled with promises of collaboration and community. As they prepared for the festival, Lucas watched the transformation unfold around him. Neighbors came together, sharing ideas, pooling resources, and igniting the spark of unity long buried in the fabric of their town. It was more than a celebration. It was a cocoon of magic, a place where laughter mingled with tears, grief intertwined with hope. When the festival day finally arrived, the streets brimmed with color and life, music weaving through laughter like the threads of a vibrant tapestry. Lucas could feel the palpable energy in the air, a mixture of excitement, nostalgia, and connection. As he stood next to Tom, watching children race in the sun, families bond over shared experiences, he realized how far they had come. The walls of the old house felt more alive than ever before, echoes of the past now intertwined with every moment being created. This was home, anchored in history, but flourishing with new beginnings. Through embracing their roots, they had built not just a community center, but a sanctuary where everyone could gather, heal, and share their stories. And in that simple act of coming together, Lucas understood. They had not only transformed a house and a town, but themselves. They were no longer bound by the past. Instead, they had forged a new future, filled with love, connection, and community. The sun dipped low, casting a warm glow over the festivities, wrapping the town in a golden embrace. Lucas took a deep breath, letting the moment wash over him. This was just the start. And as the laughter echoed through the streets, he felt a profound connection, knowing that the best was yet to come. As the credits rolled, one last message lingered. If you loved this story and want to hear more transformative tales, you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support and hit that like button. Comment below with your thoughts on how community shapes our lives, and share this amazing story with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait. Not even one more second. Let's spread the love.